The planet Vorith had no name for mercy. It had names for things that mattered: the crimson spore season that killed the weak, the underground rivers that drowned the slow, the hunting packs that dismembered the careless. Vorith was a world that sorted its residents into two categories: predator and corpse. There was no third option. Until Mara Ellison landed. She came alone, which was the first mistake the natives credited to her. The survey shuttle set down in the purple grasslands 3 kilometers from the treeline, and she walked out carrying nothing but a pack, a field recorder, and the quiet patience of someone who had made peace with discomfort long ago. She was 34 years old, compact and brown-skinned with close-cut hair going silver at the temples, and she had been doing xenobiological contact work for 11 years on 9 different worlds. She had been bitten, stung, gored, and once, memorably, briefly digested. She had survived all of it. What the Vorethi did not understand was that surviving a thing and being unchanged by it are not the same. The Kroth were the dominant species, 6-limbed, chitinous, apex hunters that communicated through subsonic vibration and the deliberate display of their threat fans. They had watched Mara's shuttle land from the treeline. They had smelled her before she climbed down the ramp. She was small. She was slow. She was, by every metric Kroth science had ever developed, prey. Rexer knew this better than any of them. He was their alpha, and alpha among the Kroth was not a title bestowed by politics or inheritance. It was a title you held until someone ripped it from your body. Rexer had held his for 9 years, which was a Kroth eternity. He was massive, 2 meters at the shoulder, with threat fans that could spread to the width of a tunnel entrance, their edges serrated and stained dark from 100 kills. His carapace bore the dents and scoring of battles that would have ended lesser creatures entirely. He had never been defeated. He was not capable of imagining defeat. He watched the small soft creature set up her instruments in the grass. He watched her eat something from a container, unhurried, as if she had not noticed she was being watched by 17 Kroth hunters from 20 meters away. He watched her record sounds with a device she pointed at the treeline, directly at his pack, as if she knew exactly where they were. She did know. She had known since minute 1. They're holding back, she noted quietly into her recorder. Which means there's structure here. Hierarchy. Someone's making a decision, and the others are waiting on it. That's good. That means I can work with a leader. On the 3rd day, Rexer made his move. He came out of the grass at full sprint, all 6 limbs churning, threat fans flared to full width, subsonic scream vibrating the air ahead of him. It was a display that had stopped prey animals mid-stride from sheer neurological overwhelm. It had caved in the chests of rival alphas who thought they were prepared for it. It was, by any objective measure, the most terrifying thing that walked on Vorith. Mara turned around, clocked him coming, and did not run. This was, to Rexer's credit, the first thing that had ever genuinely surprised him. Every creature ran. Running was the correct response. Running was what prey did, and what prey was for. The ones who froze, he had some grudging respect for, the nervous system overwhelmed, a death by paralysis, but this creature was not frozen. She was watching him come. Her body language was, he had no concept for it yet, but the word was interested. He hit her. Not a killing blow, not yet. An alpha did not waste clean kills on things that hadn't yet proven they deserved the dignity. He struck her with one foreclaw, enough force to hurl her 3 body lengths sideways, then followed with a bite to the shoulder, testing, claiming, establishing the basic order of the universe. She hit the ground and rolled, and he stood over her with his teeth still in her shoulder and waited for the part where she went limp and accepted what she was. Instead, she did something with her hand. It wasn't fast. It wasn't aggressive. It was almost gentle. She reached up and pressed something against the side of his mandible, and then there was a sound like a crack of thunder that lived entirely in his inner ear, and Rexer staggered back for the first time in 9 years. She stood up. Her shoulder was bleeding freely. She was breathing hard. And she was looking at him with an expression he could not decode, because no creature that had been bitten by him had ever looked at him with anything except terror. She looked, as best Rexer could translate it later, satisfied. The sonic emitter she'd pressed to his jaw was a xenobiologist's tool, designed to disrupt echolocation, to disorient without causing permanent damage, calibrated to Croth neurology from 3 days of careful recording. She'd mapped his hunting patterns. She'd let him close the distance because she needed to confirm the biting force, the grip angle, the neurological vulnerable point beneath the second mandible joint. She needed data. She'd let him bite her to get it. Rexer retreated 3 steps. His pack, watching from the grass, went absolutely still. Mara reached into her pack, applied a clotting seal to her shoulder with practiced efficiency, and then sat back down in her chair and picked up her recorder. "We should try this again," she said, in the subsonic range, approximating Croth frequency as best her modified vocal implant allowed. Her pronunciation was terrible. The meaning was unmistakable. What followed was not, exactly, a fight. It was more like a negotiation conducted in the language of force, and Mara had spent 11 years becoming fluent. Rexer came at her 4 more times over the next 2 hours, each time faster, each time with more complexity, each time reading the threat differently. She turned each one. Not dominance, she wasn't playing his game. She was playing her own absorb, analyze, respond, redirect. The sonic emitter. A full-body cryoflash that stopped him cold for 6 seconds. A subsonic projector broadcasting alpha challenge signals in a frequency 2 octaves below his own, sending his nervous system into confused submission response for 30 agonizing seconds. She never once tried to kill him. That was the part his pack would discuss for years. She could have. Rexer knew it, felt it in the moments she had the advantage, felt it in the way she chose a disabling response when a lethal one was available. The creature that had let him bite her to study him could have killed him at least twice in that clearing. She had chosen not to. At the end of the 2nd hour, Rexer stopped. He stood in the purple grass with his threat fans slowly closing, breathing in the scent of this creature, blood and something chemical, and underneath it something he had no name for but which he would later understand was confidence. The deep animal smell of a thing that was not afraid, and he did the only thing an alpha could do when confronted with a creature it could not defeat and could not understand. He sat down. Mara watched him for a long moment. Then she reached into her pack and produced a second chair, she'd brought too, because she had done this before, and set it in the grass across from him. "Good," she said, in butchered subsonic Croth. "Now we talk." The pack at the tree leaned slowly, one by one, lowered their threat fans. It took 4 months to establish what could cautiously be called communication. It took 6 to map enough of the Croth value system to begin a real dialogue. Mara's shoulder healed badly and ached when it rained, which it did often on Vorith, and she considered it a fair trade. What she gave Rexer, and through him, his pack, and through his pack, the Croth civilization, was the first word that Vorith had ever had for something that was not predator and not corpse. It wasn't ally. The Croth didn't have a framework for that yet. The word she gave them was more fundamental. She gave them the word for equal. It was, for a world that had never known it, an earthquake that shook no stones and left no rubble, only the slow, irreversible shift of 900 million years of assumption settling into new ground. Mara Ellison packed her recorder at the end of the 8-month survey. She walked back across the purple grasslands to her shuttle. She climbed the ramp and didn't look back, not because she was indifferent, but because looking back was for people who weren't sure they'd done enough. She was sure. Behind her, at the edge of the tree-line, Rexer sat with his threat fans folded quiet against his carapace, watching the shuttle rise into the red sky. His pack sat beside him in a silence that was not fear and not submission. It was something new. It was, if Vorith had possessed a word for it yet, awe. First Contact Report, XB Survey Unit 7, Mara Ellison, Mission 9. Planet is habitable. Dominant species, complex, hierarchical, apex predators. Contact achieved via applied ethology and controlled vulnerability demonstration. Recommend full diplomatic follow-up. Note: bring 2 chairs.